Well, welcome to our Canada Day week of celebration. And if you couldn't tell, this is Canada Day celebration.
If you couldn't tell,
then you might have a problem, because clearly we're all about Canada and celebrating Canada's 150th anniversary in partnership with Crossroads and This Far by Faith. Ladies, you look amazing.
Thanks.
So do you.
So do you.
You guys, thanks for bringing it. When I said let's be Canadiana, you did it. This is a good little cowboy look here.
A little bit of a Diva Rebel Canada Day.
She looks straight from the Calgary Stampede.
I know you do. I should have a horse walking behind us at some point throughout the show. Well, we're starting off with Motivational Monday for our celebration, because the whole week we're going to be featuring great Canadian stories of great Canadian men and women, funny videos from Greg, our quirky camera guy, and some really neat PSAs about basically women crushes that are Canadians from the past. So it's going to be a great week filled with a lot of Canadian stuff. And I know online we're going to be featuring tons of this, right? Behind the scenes, pictures, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm really excited about today. Well, look at you. So as we look at Canada 150, and we kick it off, I want to celebrate, as we start off the show, a bit with our ethnic origin, because I think that this is the makeup of Canada.
Yep.
So, Cheryl, starting with you, what is your background? What's your ethnic origin?
I'm so glad I'm first, because it really is number one. I'm from the beautiful island of Barbados, and it really is the best island in the world, with the best waters in the world. And now I'm here in amazing, good old Canada,
Oh, look at you. Very nice.
Yeah.
So fully
we call it Bajan.
Bajan.
Yep, 100% Bajan.
Bajan, okay, awesome.
But you were born here.
I was born in Barbados.
Oh, you were born in
Barbados.
I didn't know that.
Born in Barbados.
I was born in Barbados.
Bajan, and now living in Canada.
Yes.
And Canadian.
Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. Abby, what about you?
Oh, I'm good old Canadian through and
Mix.
through. I know there's way back Scottish and Irish. I think it's a real big mix. But
Scottish Irish.
yeah,
Okay.
way back, like great grandparents.
All right.
Yeah.
It's cool. Joe?
Joanna.
The part I talk about
Oh, yeah, exactly.
is the Dutch part. My dad is Dutch. He came to Canada in his 20s, and he met my mom, who was a Canadian-British background, and then he stayed for love.
Okay. So Dutch, British.
Dutch and British.
Okay. For me, being adopted, but my adopted parents, my dad is English, Scottish, and my mom is full out Ukrainian. Full out Yuki is what they say, and then I'm Filipino. So it's a kind of mix here. So it's I really look at us and really represent.
That is Canada.
It's Canada.
Right.
That is Canada.
Can you believe 150 years? We're going to be celebrating that in a few days. 150 years of our great nation. And
amazing.
Yeah, I love Canada. I know we're going to be talking a lot about that as well. And I'm going to be gushing because it's my favorite country in the world.
It is mine too. Yeah.
Speaking of ethnic origins, I just wanted to let you know, and this was fascinating as I was researching about Canada. So according to Statistics Canada, there are over 200 ethnic origins represented in our nation, with 13 of those groups exceeding 1 million people.
Wow.
So think about that. It's 13 million.
It's incredible.
Yeah, different ethnic origins, and that includes our First Peoples group, which is really fascinating. And immigrants represent 20% of our population.
Amazing.
Wow.
20%, and that's what I love
And that
about.
means first generation, I guess.
Yeah,
Is what you might
so
say,
20%.
Yeah.
Statistics Canada also projects that by 2031, between 25 to 28% of the population will be foreign-born, and 29 to 32% of the population will belong to a visible minority group.
Wow.
So that's,
I love that about Canada.
I know,
Yeah.
don't you? I just love that our nation is just full of different people, diversity, ethnicity.
Yeah.
And in that, what would you say is your favorite food? Ethnic food. What would it be?
Ethnic food or
Yeah. Well, yeah, ethnic food. What would you say?
Thai food.
Thai?
Thai's
Yeah.
my go-to.
Thai is your go-to?
I would probably say tacos. Mexican.
Mexican.
Yeah,
Mexican.
Also,
Ole.
Good,
Okay.
good tacos.
Yeah.
For fear of being a cliche, but I am going to go there. West Indian food all the way. Curry goat, rice and peas, jerk chicken. Y'all
Your
know.
favorite.
Y'all know.
Yeah.
well, we don't know, actually.
But now that we
I've
know.
never had it.
Okay.
Oh, then we need to.
I will officially cook for all of you some West Indian
Yes,
food.
please.
Please.
Accepted.
Mine, Korean. I love bulgogi beef and kalbi beef. I love
yum.
that. But I love Indian. I love curries.
curry,
I love Filipino food. I could just keep going on. And I love dumplings. And I love dim sum. So I could just be all kinds of things, but I just love how easy it is to get great food.
Yeah, I'm
in our
grateful
nation.
to the Europeans for the cheese.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
really
thank them
love
for
cheese.
that.
We
Thank you,
them for
Europeans,
cheese.
for
Thank you
cheese. You're right.
you.
Amazing. And in 1971, here's another stat. Canada became the first country in the world to enact an official policy of multiculturalism, showing how valued diversity is in Canada's political and social landscape.
Yeah.
So we're the first country that said, you know what, multiculturalism, diversity is important in our social and political landscape, and actually made that in our system and created that in 1971. No other country before.
Go
that.
Canada.
I feel like that's what sets Canada apart.
Yeah.
As opposed to sort of saying, hey, we're a multi-diverse nation, we're actually saying that's who we are. We celebrate that.
Yeah.
We put that at the forefront. It's on display, and it's really a sense of pride, you know?
Yeah, I love it. Hearing those statistics that I gave to you, how does that make you feel about living in this country? Because those are pretty big stats about immigration, about what's going to happen in the future as far as what the landscape of our nation will look like. How does that make you feel when you hear those stats? What's your hopes for that?
I feel like I have a lot more exploring to do, and more even as you were talking, I was like, I haven't had Korean food or dim sum. Like I feel like I need to go and enjoy this country more for all that it has to offer.
Yeah,
in
that's good.
its diversity.
That's actually really good. I like that attitude, Abby. And I'll take you for dim sum.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Joanna, what about you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really afraid of like the news in the world of people coming from lots of places and moving to other places brings a lot of people fear. But I like that the Canadian response to it is much more open and trusting of people from all over coming together and figuring out how to make that work.
Yeah.
There are obviously all kinds of conflicts that come with it, but just in the tensions of neighborhoods and cities and values that are different trying to come together, but generation after generation, like we have made that work here. And I have a lot of friends who are European Canadian, meaning like they literally are first, like my roommate, for example, she's from the UK. And a lot of the friends I have are sort of Europeans who've sort of landed in Toronto for work. And they talk about this. It's very unique to Canada, the way that we're able to embrace that kind of diversity and celebrate it.
Yeah.
It's not like that in the countries that they come from.
And that's a good point, because I think that every country is like that. And then I hear from people, it's not.
No.
Canada's very unique in that way. That's great. Cheryl, what about you?
I feel really hopeful about our nation. I remember my mom, it was in the Pierre Trudeau era, and he famously opened the doors for immigrants to come, and West Indians came by the droves and started their lives, and here we are in another great Trudeau era, and I'm just excited that immigrants can find safety here. They can find harbor, they can find hope and acceptance, and really start a new life. So I look around at the other countries, and no offense to other countries, I just feel really hopeful that Canada will always be this sort of beacon of light, where other nations are saying no to refugees, Canada is saying come on in.
Yeah.
And we are setting the standard and leading the way in diversity and in celebrating, immigration. So hats off to Canada.
Yeah.
Literally hats off. I think as we look at, one another, I mean, we're all immigrants, whether generations back. I mean, our first, the First Nations peoples were the first peoples here. So all of us have come from immigrants.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I was adopted by this Canadian family, I became a Canadian citizen. And I remember as I got older hearing that and going, oh, and what that meant. And I remember my parents in the Philippines talking about this great country of Canada, very cold, which it is. And I was like, I don't want to ever go there. But when I came here, I think just what, as you're saying, what the opportunities that were afforded to me as a Filipino woman are pretty amazing, considering when I look at the world, there are countries that there would not be the kind of opportunities that I have received. So thankful for that. And I'm so glad that we're, on the same page about sort of our excitement and sort of this response of Canada as well.
And we're all about content of character over here as opposed to color of skin, which seems to be sort of leading the way and leading the conversations in other nations. And I just love that we are open and accepting. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, as we celebrate the 150th anniversary of Canada, today we're going to share some of our loves for this great country, just as we have, but even more specifically. But before we do, we gotta go check out our friend Greg the Quirky Camera Guy. He's up in Ottawa, our nation's capital, and he's asking everyday people, what are you going to be doing on July 1st, Canada's birthday? Check it out.
To celebrate Canada's 150th birthday, I thought I would come here to the Centennial Flame in Ottawa, right in front of the Peace Tower. The Centennial Flame was built to commemorate Canada's 100th anniversary of Confederation. You know, this kind of reminds me of camping as a kid and enjoying a nice warm campfire and roasting marshmallows. So how are you going to celebrate Canada's birthday? Me? I'm going to eat 150 marshmallows. One. Oh, that tastes like Canada's birthday.
I don't think we're gonna come necessarily to Ottawa, the capital, but we're gonna probably plan and be together, for Canada Day in Montreal. That's where we're from.
22.
Just being very proud that I'm Canadian, and even standing here in front of the Parliament building, like, you feel that sense of pride.
58. A little bit of the prairies in that one. Oh, good. So how are you going to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday this year?
Oh, wow. Well, I live in Gatineau, so I guess I'd just walk around everywhere and see everything.
112. Well, that's a lot of celebrating.
We're going to stay home and relax and plant some flowers at the backyard of my garden.
150.
Thanks, Greg, the Quirky Camera Guy.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Such fun. Those are really good answers, and well done. Well, let's start with our favorite town place. Greg was in Ottawa, and now we're going to talk about our favorite place in Canada because it's such an amazing, amazing country. So, Abby, let's start with you.
All right.
Favorite place in our great nation?
I'll preface by saying I am open to changing because I have not seen the entire country yet.
Okay.
I'm going to wrap up Vancouver Island as a whole. I lived in Victoria for a year and a half, and it is just the most picturesque, beautiful little town, little city. Tofino up the coast, like, you just can't find more beautiful. Well, I'm sure you could. Canada's beautiful, but yeah, to live there was such a gift. So
I have not been there yet, and I've heard that I must go there. It's one of the places.
Everything is accessible. You have beaches like everywhere. You have mountains. It's just, yeah, it's so beautiful.
So Vancouver Island.
Yeah,
Victoria.
is
Okay.
probably my favorite place to live.
Okay.
I would
Amazing.
say.
All right.
So far.
Cheryl, your favorite place in Canada?
I'm changing it now. Because she upped the ante, so now I gotta change it. Hands down, Montreal.
Oh, great city. Love
Beautiful
Montreal.
city. Just old, romantic, so rich in culture and museums and landmarks. And it's the food is out of this world. It's like a little slice of France.
It is.
Yeah, it really
Well,
is.
it's a perfect picture of the diversity we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the unique places in the world where everything is bilingual.
Yeah.
You go into a shop
So
and they'll
good.
speak to you in the language you prefer.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, so I need to get to Montreal. I've been in a bit, so I'm gonna
Smoked meat, bagels.
Oh yes, bagels, cheese. All right, Joanna, you're
Toronto.
You're up. Oh, Avi.
Toronto is it's home.
Absolutely.
And I've lived and I've traveled the world.
Yeah.
I've lived abroad and traveled the world, but Toronto is always
Yeah.
like my great
Come on.
love.
Raptors, Leafs, let's
And
go.
yeah, we have all the
Yes.
sports teams, but I work in media, and so Toronto is the media capital of Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where else I would ever go if I stayed in Canada. Toronto's the place to be, but I love the diversity of the city. I love that I can try foods from around the world. I love that it's safe. I live right downtown, and I can walk around at night by myself, and I don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
It's easy to get around. It's safe. The food is good.
Hey.
It's reasonably,
Toronto.
even in world standards, it's still quite affordable.
It's the land of Drake.
It's the land of Drake.
So it's settled.
There you go.
Amazing. Okay, so we've got out west.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got Montreal,
Montreal.
and we've got Toronto, and my favorite place in Canada, Harbourville, Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
My parents had a cottage for 12 years. It was the North Shore overlooking the Bay of Fundy. And I would sit on the hammock and watch the lobster boat come by. He would go, and I'd wave, and then I'd run down the hill and pick up fresh lobster off the boat, and we'd be eating lobster with
yeah.
garlic butter in the afternoon.
My goodness.
And I'm telling you, Nova Scotia is an unbelievable place to visit. And I tell every Canadian, anybody in the world, come to Nova Scotia. It is beautiful. Just the weather, it's this rough, rugged place. The people are so friendly, and the Bay of Fundy is incredible. So, yeah, we don't have the cottage anymore, but I'm hoping to get back there out east at some point.
These are all amazing places.
I know, it's all different kinds of places. I love it. So we sound like we're like a Canada tourist brochure. Travel agency. If you guys want to know about Canada, come and talk to us. Great, it's amazing. I love those places. So here's what I would say. If you have like on Facebook and on Instagram, we need all of us and our viewers to hashtag their favorite place.
Yeah,
right? Like on our
absolutely.
site, say what is your favorite place in Canada as we celebrate Canada's 150.
And then we'll build a road trip out of all of us.
Ooh,
Me-
see
me-
here, love.
Yeah,
on the
see here,
run.
love
Let's go.
in Joanna's Mini.
Yes.
All of us packed in her Mini Cooper,
no,
honking
not
as
the
we
Mini.
go.
You can fit. I got 4 seats.
No, not the mini. No.
All right. Well, thinking about, so we've come from sort of towns and places. I'm just going to throw this out to you. I didn't prep you, but let's talk about how many Canadian celebrities and famous people you can name in the next 2 minutes.
Easy.
Go. Tell me some Canadians that are famous or bands.
Number one for me, the R&B diva of Canada, Julie Black.
Okay, Julie Black. Let's go. There's tons.
Celebrities?
Celebrity. Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Ryan
Justin
Gosling.
Bieber. Ryan Gosling.
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. William Shatner. Come on.
You know
Yes.
who else?
Who else?
Jim
Dawn.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Celine.
Celine Dion.
24
Howie
guy.
Mandel.
Oh, Kiefer Sutherland.
And his
Howie
dad.
Mandel.
Oh, right. John
we doing
Candy
Canadian?
was Canadian. Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Here's
Right.
one I didn't even know. Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Yes.
Eugene Levy, who I absolutely
oh,
love.
all of them. Yeah, the whole
Love
SCTV
them.
gang. Andrea Martin.
Yeah, Mike Myers.
Yeah, Cardinal
Drake.
Fischel.
Drake. Yeah, we had The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Jillian Harris,
Did
a
we
little
say
bit
Justin Bieber?
not
Yeah, we said
as
Justin
celebrity,
Bieber.
but-
Justin Bieber. And then some bands.
Alicia
because,
Cara.
Right, Alicia Cuthbert,
did I say
Avril
that? Yeah.
Lavigne.
Yeah.
I remember, and then when I was talking to Chris, he's like,
They
don't forget the bands like Rush.
Ooh.
Rush.
Guess who?
Triumph,
Guess who?
Guess Who?
Guess who?
I'm just wanting names. Sloan,
American
The Tragically Hip, 5440, Blue Rodeo,
Absolutely.
Nickelback.
She's got a list.
I got the whole list.
Big
oh,
Blue C.
Michael Bublé.
Big Great
The
C.
boobs.
Was it Big Great C?
Bublé. Who?
What?
Great Big C. I said Michael
Let's try that again. Bublé.
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 And Neil Young.
Neil Young.
And I had to just say
Shania
this.
Twain.
Oh, we forgot Shania Twain.
She's Ontario too.
Shania
That's
Twain.
specific.
So, I mean, how incredible is that with
Melinda Estabrooks.
See Here Love
And
Team.
Cheryl.
See Here Love Team. But isn't that amazing how many Canadians are out in the world in media, celebrity? I mean, we didn't even name off all the
No, we didn't.
other people doing great things. But I think I just have to do a shout out to all these great Canadians in our world today.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, as I'm flipping my papers here, we're going to be talking about our favorite person, our favorite Canadian person, past or present, that has inspired us, because I think that's always good for us to acknowledge, great people, and especially Canadian. But before we do that, I want us to take a look at one amazing Canadian woman who in 1875, along with her women's faith group, opened a hospital in Toronto for the admission and treatment of all sick children.
Wow.
That's Sick Kids Hospital, and is now Canada's most iconic home for children's health care. So take a look at the wonderful story of Elizabeth McMaster, our Canadian humanitarian.
Elizabeth McMaster was a woman of great drive and strong faith. In 1875, when she recognized that health care for poor children in Toronto was substandard, Elizabeth and her women's faith group decided to open up a hospital for the admission and treatment of all sick children. After the death of her husband, she became a registered nurse and eventually the administrator of what would become Canada's most iconic home for children's health care. In 1892, when the hospital moved to its 5th location, Elizabeth was quoted as saying, "May God, our stay in the past, continue with you and provide for the future. May the doors of the new building swing widely open at the cry of any suffering child, and the same spirit of love and sympathy rest within.
Oh, what a great story about Elizabeth McMaster,
beautiful.
right? I had no idea
Yeah.
about her and her women's group and the care for children and
It's
sick
amazing.
kids. Sick Kids has impacted and made a difference in our country for so many years. So I'm so thankful for her. Well, let's look at our Canadian person, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say about your person. Cheryl, let's start with you.
Oh my.
I know that you've got somebody just bubbling up in there that you want to gush on.
And now it's a double gush because I gushed about them already. But they're just doing incredible things. So a 1-minute gush on Canada's R&B diva, Julie Black. This woman is multi-platinum. She is known as the R&B voice of Canada, top 25 most famous voices, sung for the Queen of England, is a We Day ambassador, travels from one point of this nation to the other, and just rallies youth to really just change the world through the We Day organization. But why I'm celebrating her today is because, and if you don't know who Julie Black is, it's on a Monday, I'm gonna love ya,
and on a Tuesday.
Go, Melinda, take it away.
Okay, and back to you.
That is Julie Black, but she's really she's diversified her platform, and now she leads the helm of a women's movement called Empowered in My Skin. And it is just really empowering women to get over insecurity and doubt, to move into being a shero and leading the way in their own businesses and their ventures and stuff. And it has started from 0 to thousands. I don't know how she's doing it, but she's just along the way, just lighting up a group of women. And I've been at a few of these events. And I've just been ignited to change the world. And so it's just really about this female world changers movement.
Yeah.
And about not just sitting down and letting your gender or all the colors of your skin, all the things that could be barriers, holding you back, but really just leaving a legacy of change.
Yeah. Well,
So,
here's to
hats
Julie.
off.
Let's do a little
hats
here's
off
to
to
Julie.
Julie.
Way to go, Julie.
Yeah.
Our Canadian woman, our Canadian person, amazing. Abby, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to highlight 2 women who are actually mentors in my life, and also goes along with a women's movement, and that's my heart. I'm not saying that I'm only for women in Canada, but that's my specific heart. So I'd like to do a shout out to Helen Burns and to Kathy Ostapchuk. They have just really encouraged me to really have a heart for the women in our nation, and I get to work with them for a movement called Gather, and it's just, their heart is just so beautiful, and it encourages me to see Canada for more than just my immediate circle. They encourage me to see, and encourage all the women in different cities to gather and to bring our diversity together, and that's how we are a nation. And it's it's really cool. So they're those ladies that on their shoulders the next generation gets to stand and build further. So
Here.
To Helen and Kathy. We're doing these little cheers to Helen and Kathy. All right. Okay, Joanna.
Yeah, I did the immigrant in general.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
the immigrant.
Yeah.
That
Oh, I love that.
generation after generation of people who've come with, I think, a lot of courage to come to a place that they don't know because they believe for something better for themselves and they believe something better for their kids.
Cool.
And I think when I think about whether today or 100 years ago, like what a person or a family would have had to go through to get here
what
and
it takes.
give up to come, and the humility that it takes to start again, it's huge.
Yeah. To the many immigrants in Canada, the great immigrants. We'll just
love
keep doing this.
Yes.
Well, mine is somebody from the past, and I've actually really have been inspired by her. Her name was Agnes MacPhail, born 1890, died in 1954. She was the first woman elected to Parliament and the House of Commons in 1921.
Wow.
And she, honestly, this woman, when she was in the House of Commons, her causes include, and this is why I resonated with her, I love her, included equal rights and fair treatment for minors, for farmers, for child laborers in China, for the immigrant, and think about this is like 1940s and
Yeah.
50s, for the immigrant, for the seniors, and other marginalized groups. So she championed these in the House of Commons in our parliament.
Fantastic.
Then she lobbied for penal reform, prison reform, which I have a heart for care for those who are in prison, and she established the Elizabeth Fry Society of Canada. So that was out in, you know, in the UK, but she actually established that society here to take care of those who are in prison.
Wow.
Because we can never forget the people who are in prison. And then she later was elected to Ontario's Legislative Assembly, where she was responsible, and this is the other, like the cherry on the top,
Yeah.
responsible for Ontario's first equal pay legislation for women and men passed in 1951. So this kind of woman who is our history of Canada, not to be
Pioneer.
forgotten, Agnes MacPhail,
pioneer.
is that kind of woman. And I wanted to say this is the kind of woman I want to be, because when she passed away, a number of people from the House of Commons had some comments. And this is just all she said as encouragement. They said, you know, yes, she was the first woman in Parliament, and that's a big thing on its own. But they said, but that does not explain the respect she won, because Agnes had qualities of intelligence, courage, and unselfish industry. She was kindly, considerate, sincere woman who will long be remembered by those who were fortunate enough to be her colleagues. And imagine to be that kind of woman where she achieved so much, but at the end of the day, people said she was kind, she was sincere, she was honest, and she fought for those that were marginalized. Even back then.
It's amazing that they like those things stood out.
I
for
know,
them.
eh?
Yeah.
It wasn't
It's
like,
amazing.
oh yeah, she did all these achievements.
Yeah.
It was her actually character
Yeah.
that made her an amazing woman. So Agnes MacPhail, there's so much on her, but what an incredible woman. And that's one of the amazing Canadian women that I'm just like, I want to be like when I get older. To Agnes and women going forward and like her. All right. Wow, those were some great women. Great women.
Awesome.
In closing up the show, I think that it's time just for a few minutes just to gush about what we love about Canada. So we talked about that we love the openness for immigrants. We talked about our favorite place in this great nation that where we like to hang out. We talked about our favorite women, Canadian women, but what is it that we love about Canada that, you know, as we look into Canada's 150th anniversary, that we just want to say, we live in this country, we are Canadian, this is what we love. What would you say?
Yeah, to me, the thing that I always jump to is that I think Canadian Christians are uniquely positioned to bring the gospel to the world, because our passport gets us into more countries than almost any other type of passport. We have the wealth of resource to actually send people. And the third thing is that because English is the second language of the world, we have a different opportunity than, say, a German Christian to go into nations with a language that the world either already knows or they want to learn. And so we have access and opportunity to reach people.
Oh, well, that was good.
Yeah,
that was
we could
really
end
good.
right there.
What do you love, Abby?
I'm gonna say our patriotism. I think you could ask almost every single Canadian, and we are proud of it. Proud to be Canadian. So, and even just what Joe was saying earlier about us always being a beacon, and like I'm super proud just of Canada in general, and to be Canadian. When I go traveling and people ask where I'm from, like I feel a little bit of I'm from Canada, and I feel super prideful of it. So, I think just how much, and even immigrants that come, they're proud to be here, and that to me says a lot about our country.
Yeah, good. Cheryl, what about you?
I just feel like we are ambassadors to the world. I feel like we are ambassadors of change. We are ambassadors of industry. We are ambassadors of peace. And I feel like that's what sets us apart. You know, we are not known as a violent, aggressive nation. We are known as the peacemakers. We, you know, anywhere you travel and you say you're Canadian, the reception is so different than if you say another nation without saying other nations. It's just how we are in the world, and I think that we are positioned to really make significant change. What we're doing with climate change and the Accord, and just how we're taking space at the table. It's incredible to see Canada rising into her purpose. Yeah.
Beautiful. I echo all of this. I agree with all of you. I think for me, I mean, Canada represents, peace, you know, inclusivity, openness, love. I am proud when I travel to around the world and I say I'm Canadian. They're like, yes, and then everybody starts gushing about it for me. I'm like, okay, I love that you love Canada. And I think for us as a women and as a show, to continue to pray for our leaders, pray for the people who are making, those kinds of good changes about equality, equal pay, encouraging Canadians to give their time and resources to help those in need. And I think it's a great opportunity where we can serve and give, and also freedom to worship. My dad works with a persecuted church around the world, and we take it so for granted that they can't worship God. They're, hidden in like little house churches, and here we are. We can go every Sunday. We can worship in our home. We can take out a guitar and sing at the top of our voices in our condos, worship songs, and nobody's going to like arrest us.
Right.
So I think that part of the freedoms we have, we can never take for granted, and we must continue to pray for our leaders and our country in that. So it's good. Amazing. Well, what a great show, ladies. It's so great. I think I have this sort of like pride in me, a good pride about just being here and able to do even like a web show that is Canadian, that is being seen all over the world. Right?
Thank you, world.
Thank you, world. Thank you, viewers. And again, thank you to our viewers who all over the world, Canada, USA, South Korea, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Australia.
Yes.
I mean, Romania. It just keeps going, all the different people. And 20% of our audience is men.
Love it.
Love that.
Yes, 80% women, 20% men.
Love that.
And the demographic that are watching are millennials. Predominantly 25 to 35-year-olds are watching the show. It's our highest demographic for the
World
show.
changers.
So thank you so much for being with us as we kick off our celebration of 150-year anniversary for our great nation of Canada. Again, go on to our social media, hashtag We Love Canada, hashtag This Is Our Favorite City. Send us pictures, show us pictures. We'd love to engage with you online. And I will see you guys, I think, throughout the week celebrating. We're going to be online with all of our videos and all that. So have a great Canada week. Have a great Canada week, and know that you're seen, heard, and deeply loved by God. Bye. Bye.